Hello, it's good to have you here. My name is Bukola. I'm a career mentor and an inspirational speaker. I also write daily to thousands and thousands of career professionals in the bid to inspire them and spur them into taking massive actions towards their goals. Thank you for joining me here and for watching this video. Let's talk about getting you the best feedback possible and what you need to do to maximize the feedback process of your organization. Now, different organizations have different ways of doing a feedback process or getting performance evaluation in. To different organizations have different styles. I've worked in organizations where it is pretty much there is an app that you go in, request for feedback from people, they put in their feedback for you, it sends that directly to your HR representatives or whatever that is, and then the conversation around your feedback and your performance for the year commences. There are some organizations just email, and there's some organization nothing. There is no formal process of getting feedback, but at the end of the year a form is given up to your boss to decide whether you're a 1, you're a 2, you're a 3, you're a 4, or whether you're an A, an AA, a B, a BB, whatever that is in your organization. But irrespective of how feedback is done in your organization, I'm just going to be talking to you about a couple of things you need to keep in mind if you want to get the best out of any feedback process in your organization. And this is also applicable even if there is no formal process with regards to feedback. So listen to this till the very end, because you'll be getting a couple of tips that will be helpful for you. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is there is no feedback if there is no expectation. So that process of understanding what is expected of you needs to be solid. If that process is not solid, then your feedback outcomes will fall through. It will not hit the target that I'm expecting it to hit by this video that I'm making for you right now. Okay, so the expectation setting process needs to be initiated, and that has to be by you. Now, usually if you work with big organizations that have all of these systems, processes, and all of that in place, you may not need to be the one initiating it. There may be a formal process that will tell everybody to do it at some certain times, and everybody is mandated to do it. But if we're in that situation, you still need to initiate a personal expectations / goal setting process. You need to initiate it. So if you already know the people you'll be working with, now it depends on how you work again in your organization. Sometimes you get to work with one boss and that boss determines everything. Or your portfolio is diversified in terms of people, so you get to work with more people, so you would have to have those conversations with different people, because when you pull all of that together, they can see from 2, 3, 4 different leaders or bosses that you have been consistent throughout the year in delivering all of the things that have been said before you. Now, that expectation setting process needs to be initiated, and this is how a typical one will look like for you, and for it depends on your organization. You will go to your boss and you will say to him, look, we're starting a new FY, a financial year. These are the things that I know that this role entails. What are your own expectations? Now, the reason why you need to do that is this. Sometimes what is expected of you in roles are usually many. So there will be from technical standpoint, from strategic standpoint, from project management standpoint, from business acquisition standpoint, from sales and marketing standpoint, from different standpoints, from relationship, stakeholder management standpoints. What will be required of you may be different, or maybe many. But your own boss may have a particular one they are interested in. So they will have a particular metric that interests them. And that's why you need to set that expectation. So you need to go to them to say, look, all of these are expected of me, but I know there will be 1 or 2 or 3 that you thoroughly want to see for you to be able to say, oh, I am doing well, or I am growing in role. So you want to ask them, what are those? Now, I've worked with different leaders in different forms, shapes, and sizes. So I'm telling you this, that even though what's expected of you maybe 20 things in row, some bosses, if you don't do one thing that they care the most about, then you're not growing. That is just how it is. So for some of them, it may be human connection, relationship. They just want you to be solid when it comes to relationships, and they don't care as much about any other sort of metric. So you need to understand what your leader wants from you. Now, if you set a meeting with them to discuss it, you will know it. This is how I personally approach it. I approach it like I'm going for a promotion round. So what I say is, what are your best metric, or what would you have me do that will make you give me a 1 rating this year? This is very, very important, because it also depends what you're gunning for, and you must have that insight. You don't just say, oh, I will do well, oh, I'm just going to fall in a 2 category, or I'm just going to fall in extreme high performance. So you need to know exactly where you want to fall, right? So you will say to them, look, this is the rating I am aiming for, or this is the rating I've always had, but this is the rating I'm aiming for. For me to get to this rating, what do you want me to do? Or what are those things you want to see me do? And how will I know when I'm doing them? Because it's very important. So you're asking them what the metrics they care about, and you're also asking them, how will you know if they are happy that you're growing? It's important, because throughout the course of the year, you can put in some time slots to continue to check or get on the go feedback from them as to how you're doing. Okay, so ask them what that is, and ask them how you would know that you're doing well. So they will say, oh, I'll tell you, or put in some time with me once a month, let us catch up, and I will tell you what you did well, what you did well, so that you can continue to develop on those. That needs to happen. That needs to be solid. Now, what a lot of people do is they leave their feedback process, and I'm to a large extent guilty of that as well. They leave their feedback process to the very end. So they don't actively follow up. I do my expectation setting. I always do. I don't start any new project without discussing what is expected of me, because I do not like to go to town. I need to know that I'm on point. And I just want to know what your biggest pain is, and that I'm here to solve for you. So that's it. So they'll tell you to put in monthly catch up. So you want to catch up with them on them, or every 2 months, or every 3 months, whatever that is. I know mine that are pre-agreed. So you will put those times in the diary, and then you check in with them. Now, what you now need to do is this: those specific metric that they've given to you, don't forget, you want to be a 1 rating. Let's say in your organization, where your 1 rating is the highest rating you could ever have, like a double star kind of rating, or triple star rating, if that's your that's what you want to have. So you ask them, what does a typical triple star look like, or what would a typical triple star for you do that will make you rate them triple star? At the very beginning of the FY, you are having that conversation, right? So they've told you everything that you need to do. A month in, you've checked in. 2 months in, you've checked in. You know what you're doing, right? You know where you're doing. By that time, you begin to sort of see where you're going to land. Okay, you're managing that whole process. Okay, so good. So you know all of that. You've done that. You've put in the time. What I'm going to say to you is, every time you have chats with them to discuss your performance feedback, try to make it, if you are hybrid, try to make sure the time you're discussing your performance feedback, you're having it in person. It is very critical. The reason why you're having it in person is there is the warmth, there is empathy, and there is, she's here. So Ore is here in front of me. The conversation is authentic. The conversation, it has empathy, is laced with empathy. The conversation is more personal. And even if they have a tough message to deliver to you, it is, you're treated with, you're being treated with delicacy. So they treat you with warmth, with, it's not like over a call that is so AI. I don't know if I can say that, but it's just not as authentic as I personally would like it. So I like feedback sessions that are in person. I want to see you. I want to read your body language. I want to see how the facial cues you're giving to me. So I usually would make my feedback sessions. Are there sessions, expectation setting sessions, feedback sessions that have been over the over a typical Google Meet, Zoom, Teams. Yes, that has happened because there was nothing I could do about it. So that absolutely fine. Okay, but if you can, please do make sure that that happens. Okay. Another thing I'm going to say to you right now is you must put your goal in a place where it is easy for you to see it. Okay, you can print it out, put it somewhere, probably in your room or whatever, for you to continue to remind yourself, because it's easy. It is very easy during the course of the year to lose track. Or you can leave it in your folder, but make sure that it is somewhere where it is so easy for you to pick it up and see it, so that you can continue to remind yourself. In fact, you can have a weekly check-ins on them. Now, the reason why that is important is every single task that you do going forward has to support the goals and the expectations that you have pre-agreed with your bosses. Again, every single task that you agree to take on has to massively support the expectations and the goals that you have preset with your bosses. So don't be doing tasks that are like have no bearing on the expectation, or don't heavily weigh that. So it's like you have 20 things on your table. You want to make sure that the 2 or 3 of those tasks are heavily weighted when it comes to those expectations. So if your boss is saying, oh, I see that you're shy, develop your presentation skills, your ability to communicate. So you are looking for opportunities where you are communicating with your bosses, or you're looking for opportunities where you're leading meetings, or you're looking for opportunities where you're presenting to the client, right? So you will heavily weigh those, and you will put in a lot of hours to prepare for those, so that it can be clear that you're making progress in that, rather than doing keying information into something that somebody else on your team can do, doing input tasks or very mundane things. Okay, so practical stuff here, right? Nothing too difficult, but very practical stuff. Good. So make sure that you have your goals in hand and the tasks you do support your goals. The next thing I'm going to say to you is this, that as you go along during the course of the year, you will do fantastic things. You will do great things. You would solve problems. Make sure that you're writing your self-assessment as you go. Don't wait till the end of the year. Write your self-assessment as you go. So when you're helped to resolve a client's issue, write it down. Don't just write it down. Write the issue. Write your suggestion. Write what you did to make that suggestion come to life and solve that problem. If there is a saving that you can quantify, so because we resolved this issue, we then saved the client this, or we saved ourselves that, or we got this additional revenue because I created this schedule, this led to that. Quantify it, okay? Then keep writing it as you go along on your different projects. It is important for you to lose sight of how fantastic you are as well. That's where writing on the go, your feedback is very important. It's your self-assessment of who you are. Now, people can know you generally to be a fantastic person. I pride myself to be that way, brilliant, and I think I have that clout of she's brilliant, she's good. But when it comes to, if someone asks the person calling me brilliant to say, what has already done to make you call up or come to that conclusion, it may be difficult for the person to itemize specifically what I have done, except I provide them with the evidence of what I have done, factual evidence. And that is where you come in, because you have to take charge of the feedback process. Okay, so you need to write it on the go. So have a spreadsheet or a Google Doc that you will write every good thing you're doing, and you will state the facts, and you state how you resolved it, and you quantify the impact on your organization. Nobody can argue that. Nobody can argue with facts. Okay? Now you will do that. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to keep what I call a brag folder. Everybody, you should know that. Most people know it. But you keep a brag folder. You create a folder, iCloud, whatever, on the cloud or on your desktop. And you'll make sure that when all those times when your bosses said, good job, great job, or they sent you an email to say, fantastic work, whatever, take a PDF, print it in PDF, put it in that brag folder. When they sent you chats to say, oh, you are the best team member, I don't care what they said to you, but they wrote you those nice things via chat. Take a screenshot, put it there. Keep building your brag folder throughout the course of the year. It is so important, and it doesn't always have to be your boss. It can be someone on your team that you helped to resolve a problem, and they came back to say thank you, and they wrote you a nice note. Take it, put it in your brag folder. Take it, put it in your brag folder. Your feedback is not only downward feedback that is important. Your peer feedback and upward feedback to you, and upward feedback from those that you manage or from those you lead is also very important. But so don't treat those you lead like they are nothing. They are very, very important if you want to hit the milestones you want to hit in your career. Okay, so get your brag folder, put everything in, just keep storing it, keep putting it there. Now, when this is where it comes in handy, when you want to have those monthly or twice a month or whatever, those sessions to determine how far you've come, it is easy for you to bring out your self-assessment and talk your boss through all the things that you've been up to. Okay, it is also important for you to have a brag folder, so you can also say, you remember 2 weeks ago when you said ABCDE? Yeah, this was the effort that I put in. This was the investment of time that I put in to make sure we got to that point. All of that, you remember the concept of mental real estate? All of that begins to build nicely in your boss's mind, that when they think about you, they're like, ah, no, that you're doing something nice. Now, all of these things I've said, they don't take time at all. They are so easy to do. So don't feel like this is so complicated. It's not. They're just very easy. Okay? Once you do one, once you try out one, you will see how easy it becomes. Now, towards the end of the FY, when everybody is trying to get their performance feedback, do not ask for feedback if you've not sent in your self-assessment. That self-assessment you've been building, for some people it may be up to 10 pages. It can be as long if you do what I asked you to do, even more. You will take everything, you pull it together, you summarize it, you give them the fuller copy, and you give them a summary of everything you've done. In fact, if there are key metrics that you need to hit, like integrity, the values of your organization, integrity, it can be commercial awareness, it can be whatever, innovation, technology, in instances where you have used technology to get gains for your organization, whatever that is, you can put them under those sub-headings, the things that you have done, and share with your boss to say, by the way, I know you're going to do my feedback in a couple of days. I thought it would be really nice for you to read this before you do my feedback. There's no arguing with that. It's just impossible for them to argue it. Now, things may happen as well, like things you didn't quite get well, didn't quite do well. That's where balance comes in, and I want to preach it to you that it's okay to be 80%. 80% is A, and that's okay. 90% is A, is okay. You don't have to be 100%. So when you're doing your self-assessment, I need you to be balanced. I need you to say, I don't want you to sell yourself short, but I need you to be balanced. Because I've also seen in situations where people have written feedback from me to review for them where they've sold themselves short. I'm like, no, you're better than this. Don't try to be humble with me. And I've preached to my mentees about humility when it comes to the workplace. I get the humility, the traditional sense of humility, listen to others, pay attention. But humility as in trying to sell yourself short or being overly obedient when you should be challenging stuff has no place in the workplace. Zero. So I guess this is why I'm going for you, right? Identify those things that you didn't quite get or you didn't quite hit, but identify it in such a way that you call out the effort you've put in, but you didn't quite hit it, but it's a learning point for you, and you're happy to take that into the next review period as a goal. That's how you need to approach it. Simple, short, sweet. When you write your self-assessment, make sure that your good things that you've done are massive. But you see that one that isn't so great, one sentence at most, maybe two. That's it. Don't write more than two things. That's it. Okay? You must learn to self-promote. Okay? You must learn to self-promote. Okay, so yes, so that I think is it. So when you give it to them, obviously they'll come back to you with their whatever they think is right for you. Because you have helped them through that process, you'll probably get the rating you're looking for. Now, in the instance where you don't get the rating you're looking for, it's so easy for you to challenge the feedback that you've gotten, because it is evident that you have done more than what you've been given. Now, when you're challenging your feedback, I need you to think about being warm and pleasant. Is important. Now, you already have the numbers. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to show attitude. Be all smiles, be nice, be kind. You don't need to fight anybody. Just give a warm challenge to say, I really do appreciate you taking the time to give me my feedback, but I think it would be nice for us to go through the feedback and go through all the points you thought has led you to your feedback, your own view of my feedback, and I'll also go through mine, and then we can land in a place. So have that meeting with them to challenge. When you're challenging, again, I say be warm. It's important. It is very key that you learn how to, have conversations without getting emotional. It is so key, especially if you're looking to become a leader someday. You have to stick with the facts, and the facts will come in handy to help you. Okay, now, the reason why you need to challenge your feedback if you do not like it. In fact, I've gotten a feedback before where all was good. All that was written on the feedback, there was not even one development point for me on that feedback. Everything was good. But I had a challenge for the feedback because of the person who wrote it. Because obviously, it also depends on the level of clout of the person who wrote the feedback. Now, this is a very highly placed person who wrote the feedback. But they had missed something very important that I thought I did. They missed it. Like, it's big for me, it's big for them, it's big for anybody reading it who is not part of my team. So I challenged the feedback by saying, by the way, I was really big on this and it's nowhere in the feedback. And I mean, let's talk about it if you agree with it. If you agree with it, would you be willing to add that into my feedback? And they agreed. In fact, we didn't have to talk about it. They're like, oh yeah, sorry about that. In fact, I've also had conversations where I've had a conversation with one of my bosses and I said, I do this, but you've not added it to the feedback. And they said to me, so it was not as straightforward as the first one. They said to me, I agree. In fact, anything you tell me that you do right now, yes. But would you be able to provide me with support for a time when you did that? That was when I learned that it's important for me to keep a track of everything that I'm proud of. But I didn't particularly have an example for them. But it was clear that I did it because who else would have done it in that situation? But I didn't particularly I couldn't quote the facts. So that's why it's good for you to. But at the end of every feedback process, there has to be a challenge. A challenge in terms of, are they missing something from your feedback? The reason why a challenge is also good is the tone of the conversation of what they've written down is important, especially if they have to type things out in terms of how you've performed. The tone is important. Someone could be saying something good, but if you read it, if a third party reads it, it doesn't sound as good, right? I've had those situations before. So if you feel like the English someone is writing or someone is calling out, it looks like someone bolded something as though it is an issue, you need to give that soft challenge back to say, could you rewrite this, by the way, because this seems to look like it is this, not that. Because not everybody that has English as their first language, right? So you also want to check that. I have also had a situation where I had a manager who, very fantastic lady, very, very, I had very close working relationship with her. I do her work for her. She loves me. She loves my work. But she's not a good feedback writer. She will just write one paragraph and she's off. So I'm like, no. So I went back, I'm like, I've worked 6 months with you. I deserve more than a paragraph. So she was like, okay, that's fine. Just give me your self-assessment. So I'm like, okay, I should have given my self-assessment. Then from my self-assessment, she was then able to build out her thoughts about me. And that is how it works, right? So don't feel like you cannot challenge a feedback process. You can absolutely challenge a feedback process. And you should do that from time to time. Yes, I don't see how you will do all of this and you'll not be on a decent path to getting the grade or the rating or the promotion that you do want. I think you're going to be good and I think you're going to get what you want. But yeah, I want you to do all of these things. And if I sort of get more ideas, I'll do an addendum video to this. But for now, have fun and see you in the next one. Thank you. Thank you for taking your time to watch this video. I'm sure you enjoyed it and you learned something during the course of watching this video. If you liked everything you saw, please subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification so you can get notified every time a new video is dropped to inspire and spur you to take action. Also, like, share and comment so that others can also see this and benefit from it. Thank you and see you in the next one.